Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Gunn Show. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. We're deep into episodes at this point, but just in case we have a new listener today and you don't know what the Gunn Show is about, we're humanizing manufacturing. That's what we're here to do. Some people say, oh, the Gunn Show, I'm on Spotify right now. That must be about muscles or weapons. No, sure not. It's about manufacturing where we sometimes make weapons and sometimes we have muscles. I don't have either one, but the Gunn Show represents humanizing the manufacturing world, everything that's around us, from satellites and cars and planes and phones and computers and yeah, it's a deep breath. I have another wonderful guest with me today, but before we get to my guest, I just want to thank MTDCNC. I also would love to thank our sponsors, AMT, IMTS, EBITDA Growth Systems. What an amazing group of people. If you want to know more about those, you're more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section, and we will answer that for you. But let me go ahead and move forward with my guest today. My guest is a good friend of mine. I've actually been to his shop a little bit north of where we're filming in Boca Raton, Florida today. The courage this young man had to start a machine shop in the middle of COVID. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what he makes, what he does, why he did it, how he got to where he is. Let me introduce my friend Diko Petkov, and he is the CEO of KratoStructures, although some of you might be calling it Krato. And so we'll say it both ways today, right, Diko? So welcome to the show. Welcome back to the Gunn Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be your guest and to share my story. And I really hope that my story will have some positive impact on our listeners today.
Yeah, I think it will. And you come from a wonderful country, Bulgaria.
Yes.
And you have come from years and years of machining expertise before you decided to throw in and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start my own shops. But I want to know about the journey, because we have a lot of listeners around the world. We have listeners that are outside of the U.S. right now that are going to be inspired by your journey to come to the U.S. And we have listeners that are in the U.S. that are going to be inspired by your courage to start a machine shop after being a machinist for so long. And if my memory serves me correctly, Diko, didn't you go to school for like acting or drama or something like that? So let's talk about all that as well. Let's start with your journey, my friend.
All right. Yes. Well, I did not go to school for acting, but my plan was to go. I was actually accepted, and that was part of my direction in life. But let's start from the beginning.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Bulgaria. It's a small country in Europe. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's a beautiful country. So I moved here when I was 15. My father was here for a long time, so I came to visit him. I liked it, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to stay here. US is where I want to be. It's a beautiful country, plenty of opportunities, and that's it. I ended up going to high school here. After high school, me and a friend of mine, we decided to go and study acting in London.
Okay, this is where the acting comes in. I got it.
Where the acting comes from, and we actually get accepted, and we were going to leave. I think I was at the age of almost 17 at that time, and it was my last year of high school, so I took 2 years in high school for one, so I graduated a little bit ahead of time. The summer before we left, my uncle just had opened his business a few years ago, and I decided to spend the time with him because he was always my role model. He's the one who introduced me to engineering, machining, manufacturing in general. So I said, let me spend some time with him and let me see what is it there that people talk so much about. So part of his business was a machine shop. He had a machine shop. And I spent the summer there. So within the first 2 to 3 months, I was able to do setups on my own. I was able to run machines. I mean, I was spending probably 14 to 16 hours in that shop. And it was just so fascinating to me how people were able to put a block of aluminum and get a part, which part will later be used in an assembly. And that assembly would be part of something that eventually would save people's life. And I was like, this is fascinating. I mean, it's incredible. So 2 to 3 months after me being in the shop, I was able to set up and run machines. Then, I decided, I was always good with computers. So I was like, let me play around with the software a little bit. And I started programming. And by the end of the summer, I had my first piece. I would never forget that moment where I had my first piece in my hand, which I programmed entirely by myself. I set up entirely by myself. I ran it entirely by myself. And I was able to inspect entirely by myself. And it was a good piece. And, just holding that piece in my hand by the end of the summer completely changed the course of my life. By the end of the summer, I was like, that's it. I want to do manufacturing. I don't want to go to London to do acting, to study acting. Manufacturing is where I want to be. I'm just going to stay here. And I was lucky enough to have the perfect opportunity with my uncle because there was so much knowledge in this shop. And I realized that, there wouldn't be any school that would told me what I can learn here. So I used every single opportunity that I had to spend time there and to better myself. But that story doesn't end here. So the part that I actually made, and this is a story that I will always remember because, even talking about it, I get goosebumps. So that part was part of a gripper. It was a gripper part of a military robot, which they sent in Iraq to dismember bombs and mines. So what happened is my part was assembled on a robot, and less than a month later, this robot was shipped to Iraq. I think it was early 2000s, 2001, 2002. And then that robot came back a few months later, but it came back much different.
Can imagine it did.
It came back on pieces, and I recognized my gripper part, which was half of it was missing, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So whatever I did actually helped to save someone's life. That was fascinating. And then a few days later, we had some military personnel that came into our building. They lined up the whole company in front, and we had 3 generals which came to thank us that one of our robots hit a mine and saved their lives, literally 20 feet in front of them.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? That's it. Manufacturing, being able to create something which something is not some random object that would sit on a shelf, but it's something that's actually going to save lives or improve the quality of our lives. That's what I want to do. And, that was it. That was my turning point. And I said, no acting schools. I'm just going to sit and I'm going to use every single opportunity to become better and to develop myself in the manufacturing world. And right after that, I decided to sign up for an engineering school. I'm an engineer by training. I'm a mechanical engineer. I started in Wentworth Institute of Technology and graduated from WPI back in Boston. That's where I spent my the biggest portion of my life. So I spent about 19 years in Massachusetts before I decided to move here, which was right after COVID. So right after college, I went back in the manufacturing world. I started working as a machinist, and then I slowly progressed with design. And a few years later, I was leading in manufacturing team. I had about 40 people working with me. Great team, all of them. I absolutely love every one of them. We're still in very close contact with everyone. But it was probably the best years of my life because we had so much fun working together, and everyone was so dedicated to what we do. And it was almost like it was almost not a work. It was a competition between. Not just the outside world, but competition between us. Who would put the best work? We were really taking pride of our work. And I want to say it again. My uncle has a big part of it to shape me this way because that's what I learned from him. It's when you do something, when you make something, you have to create it and to be proud of your creation. It's almost like making your baby, right? So if you're designing something, it's almost like making a baby. You know, you want to send it to the best school, to the best, fill it with the best food. You want to be proud of it, and that's what manufacturing is too. You want to be proud of your product. You want your name to be known and related to something good, not to something which is, another one of these.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Diko, I'm gonna eventually get into your current role, and I want to talk about the courage it took. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you just knew that you were starting to shop, and there was no courage at all. Like, I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm doing it. But I want to talk a little bit before we get into that moment, that decision, and where we currently are and what we're currently making. I would love to go back to, because you gave me a little bit of chills as well. You mentioned you give yourself chills every time you tell the story. I want to go back to those emotions, and I'd like to kind of express those emotions even deeper. And the reason I want to do that is because we have an audience out there who wants to hear the passion of manufacturers. Not just that there's parts around us right now, not just that they're on their phone, but that it matters, because it matters to me too. Everything that's around us matters to me. I'm grateful for the times I want to be lazy thanks to manufacturing and what goes around. You know, we've modernized society. Everything around us is done through manufacturing. Yes. We all know that in this world, but outside of our world, we don't really talk about it much, do we? We don't get to just walk into the random school classroom and go, manufacturing, we're the best, and like walk out again, right? They're watching movie stars and TV stars and listening to their music, their favorite musicians, and all of these creative artists kind of take the spotlight away from, in my opinion, what potentially matters more than anything else, which is manufacturing. So I want to reconnect again to that emotional side of things, Diko, because I think you're great at that. And I would love to hear maybe a couple more projects, or what it means to you to truly make something that matters. That moment that you felt when it came back, you said, you know what? I did save somebody's lives. Like, that matters to me.
Yeah, so, I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to work for plenty of companies that makes change and makes different nowadays. Most of my customers are customers from different industry, but they're top tier customers, and their products are very well known, and their products are actually products that improve the quality of our life. And manufacturing in general is something that a lot of people don't understand. They think it's boring. They think it's repetitive. They think that there's really nothing going on. Even, I was reading an article the other day that says a lot of people think that manufacturing is very underpaid job, but it's actually not. It's about 30% higher paid than any of the other service jobs. And that's why people don't really go in depth with manufacturing. But manufacturing is actually what helps us to evolve as humans. Evolution is the core of everything. If you want to be better, if you want to develop ourselves as human species, we have to evolve. And manufacturing is the sector that helps us, that enables us to evolve in a certain way. I like what you mentioned. I like to be lazy because of things that manufacturing allows us to do. But this is actually not being lazy. This is eliminating the repetitive job that allow us to focus our brains on more important stuff. So going back to your question about other projects that I'm blessed to have, I would say all of my projects are equally important. I cannot say project one is more important than project two. They're all equally important. They just serve different sectors of the industry. And I cannot decide which one is more important, but I can tell you that we take each project seriously, equally seriously.
Kind of like choosing a favorite son or daughter, right? Is that, you already compared it to the children, right?
Yes. I mean, this is it. There's no such a thing, right? I mean, yeah, you might have favorite, but they're equally important for you, right?
Right.
So every single day in our shop it's pride. Every single day is competition. Not just with the outside world, but we compete with ourselves. I compete with myself on a daily basis because I want to be better than what I was yesterday. And the only way for me to do this is to compete with myself, right? To have rigid discipline, to have goals that I know I can achieve, also goals that I know I cannot achieve, because that's how I pump myself, that's how I drive myself. But it just, without manufacturing, our progress as species will be impossible.
I think that's a powerful statement, but very true.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the next step of your manufacturing journey, which when I met you about a year, maybe not even a year ago at this point, I believe, when I had the opportunity to come into your shop and talk about the great successes that the Heimer cutting tools have brought to your manufacturing processes and the reduction of cycle times. But I want to talk about, was there a bit of courage, a bit of fear, a bit of anxiousness when you said, it's time for me to launch? And not only am I going to launch my own business, I'm going to do it right in the middle while everyone else is questioning everything that's going on in COVID. This is Shop Rescue.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Bryson. I am the Business Development Manager for the Americas for Blaser Swiss Lube. So Blaser Swiss Lube is a cutting fluid company. We have our headquarters obviously in Switzerland, but we have our US headquarters in Goshen, New York. Dave gave me a call. He was talking about a job shop. They need help. And when they need help, we want to make sure that we as a community and as an industry are there to support them and do anything it takes to make sure that they are killing it. We want to help these smaller shops because their success is our success, right? And then you watch them grow. They buy more coolant, we're able to help them. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, yes, there was a little bit of courage, but even on when I was on my old position, I was director of manufacturing and probably good 10 years, and I was very well taken care of. I had great team, I had great opportunities, but on the back of my head, I always had passion for machining. And I had a gap between, being a machinist and leading a manufacturing team. For some reason, machining was left behind, but I always thought about it. I always had passion to it. And with COVID and the slowdown of, the economy, I said, you know what? I think now it's the time. I saw the opportunity. I had such a struggle to find good suppliers. I mean, I was working with probably good 20 shops around Massachusetts. And just the struggle to get good service, to get delivery on time, to get parts that are actually matching the requirements was impossible. And I said, this is impossible. We live in the United States. We have the best technology. We have the best machines. We have the best people. Why there is such a big struggle with finding a good shop? Why? There has to be something. And then obviously China was closed. We couldn't get parts from out of the United States. So I said, you know what? Now is the time. That's it. I might fail, but so what? I'll get up and try again, and eventually I'll succeed, right? So courage, I was never afraid that things will never work out. What my thought process was, it might take a little bit longer than expected, but eventually I'll make it. Mm-hmm. Because I knew my skills, I knew I had the ability to create a team, and the timing was perfect. No China, so you don't compete for cheap labor.
Right.
The only thing you compete is, stand behind your promise. That's it. And I guess I'm pretty good with that.
You definitely are. And your confidence is also unwavering.
And, I was able to pass that to my team. And my team, we're so synchronized with everyone in the team. and they understand the importance of being able to deliver on your promise. And this is number one. If you are not able to deliver on your promise, why are you in business? To do a single sale, that's not fun. What happens when you run out of single buyers, single time purchasers, right? So I saw the problem, and me coming from an engineering background, my thought process was, there is a problem, so let's create a solution, step-by-step solution plan, which we did. And me and my wife, who is my partner, we sat down, we made a business plan, we had all the problems laid out, we wrote down the solutions of each problem, and I said, that's it, let's go to Florida, where COVID restrictions were not as bad, because back in Massachusetts, it was winter. We were living in a small apartment, and we were stuck for about 5 to 6 months inside.
Ooh.
And, I was like, that's it. Enough. I was working from home. I was going to the office maybe once a week. But, it was a very, very strict situation. So I was like, let's do it. I mean, there's nothing to lose.
And that's how you ended up in Florida, was because of that situation.
Because of that situation, what we did is, it's a funny story, by the way. We ordered everything. We had 2 cars. We sold 1 car, and we ordered everything on the other car. And we had 2 cats, and the car was full with only cat toys and everything about the cats, right? And we started driving, and we didn't know where we're going. I had a place which I had arranged to rent for the shop, but by the time we made it to Florida, the contract fell apart, and I was like, okay, so we're in a situation, so we have to act fast. But apparently,
wow,
we were lucky enough to find a beautiful place. You've seen my shop.
I have. It is great. A beautiful place.
It's brand new. Everything is super clean and
great location.
Great location. It's a very fast growing area, and that's how we end up in Florida.
And what a wonderful team you have as well, might I add.
Yes. And it's growing. The team is growing, and it just maybe I've shared with you, but
not with our audience, only with me. So we could definitely talk about it.
Yes. The biggest part of my team is with me since day one, and we started and we've been challenging each other with the team members, and that helps us grow not only our knowledge of machining, but helped us improve as people in our personal lives too, and that's actually part of the culture that we're trying to create. The culture is, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to challenge each other. It's let's bring the best of us, because it's not a matter of the best answer that I'm looking for, that I believe it's the best answer, but it's the best answer that there is. And you can only know the best answer that there is if you are challenged with a different point of view, that way you think about it. So we're kind of pushing to that direction in our company. I mean, we even have an hour a day that we kind of experiment with, new technologies, new setups. We're challenging each other, trying stuff just for fun. And manufacturing is fun. If you take the fun part of the equation away, I wouldn't stay in manufacturing.
Well, you've been doing it a long time now, and skipped out on the acting side of things. Diko, what's a regular day look like for you? And I know it switches around all the time, because you might be in one facet of the company or another facet of a company. But could you give me a general idea of what you might do coming into work on, a Monday, Tuesday, and what that day looks like with the products you create, with the people you work with the maybe some of the complications of working with outside vendors, whatever it might be, just to, again, humanize this connection with our audience who wants to create their own business. I'd love to hear more about your day-to-day activities.
This is Shop Rescue.
Hi, I'm Matt Schrawn. I'm the Vice President and General Manager of Jergens Inc., worldwide work loading and fixturing company. Juergens really helps small manufacturing shops because typically what you're seeing in small manufacturing shops today is they have high mix, low volume production. So what we can really help them do is on the setup time reduction. I think this is more than just about the manufacturing community. It's trying to get people outside the manufacturing community aware of what's going on as well too. And I'm hoping that people recognize the value that manufacturing provides for the U.S. I mean, there's so many small manufacturing shops that start in garages and grow out of it. And I think we can really help support those people in the manufacturing community and outside the manufacturing community as well for the long term.
So my days are very different for the most of the part, but there are certain tasks which are part of my everyday. So I wake up at around 5 o'clock in the morning. I work out for about hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I kind of put that as a challenge to myself. It keeps me going, and I kind of see it as a win every day. So that's you start the day with a win. You went to the gym, you spent 2 hours in the morning before everyone else. That's it.
If I didn't sleep through my alarm at that point in the morning, I consider that a win.
Well, I kind of sleep through my alarm, but my cat is my second alarm, so it's impossible to sleep through that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I'm at the office around 8:30 to 9, and I do have daily meetings with the whole team. So Mondays we usually have production meeting, and then every other day we have a follow-up meetings where we discuss, potential issues, or if we're ahead of schedule, what else can we do to improve it. So meetings are about half an hour each morning, and then right after that, I spend the rest of the morning going over with customers, going over current projects. So I'm very personal with each customer. So 90% of my customers are customers which I have relations for many, many years from my previous position. And with a lot of them, I spend time on their current projects, helping them, improve design, improve cost. So a lot of them have machines which are legacy products that, simple redesign can save them so much cost in manufacturing. So with me, it's very important when I create, first of all, we don't work with everyone. So we're very selective with our customers because I want to keep that personal relationship.
It's about the personal relationship.
It's about the personal relationship, but not just that, but it also has to make sense, right? I want to have customers that we build a long-term relationship. We don't, as I said, we're not interested to the one-time sell and sell it and go. We want to be part of their project. We want to make sure that they succeed because we are there, because we help them to succeed. And the biggest part of today's, the biggest problem with today's manufacturing is unreliable supply chain. So I want to make that difference with my customers. So I spend, let's say from 9:30 to 12, I spend the time to go over current projects. I see if we can be of any help. We can improve, cost by redesigning. If redesigning is not an option, what can we propose throughout the year so that we reduce their cost to make sure that their products are getting there on time when they need it. So we're operating with just-in-time delivery. So most of my customers, they tell me dates for every one of their projects, and we sit down and brainstorm. How can we improve that? So how can this year be better than last year? How can I save you on cost? How can I make sure that you always have parts available to ship when you need them, but also I don't produce excessive inventory. So this is very important for us. We understand that if our customers are making progress, we're going to be making progress because we are part of the food chain, right? So that's my mornings. In the afternoon, I spend about 2 hours on new opportunities, on new business. Most of it is trying to expand our reach with current customers, but also trying trying to expand our customer database where it makes sense. So that's probably until 2 to 3 in the afternoon, and then the rest of the day I spent with the team. I explained to you, we enjoy challenging ourselves. We talk about what's new on the market, how can we improve our work holdings, toolings. We're making plans of improving every single process. I mean, we're a very young company, so we've been in business only for 3.5 years now. So there's still a lot to build. So I try to have at least an hour a day that will help me improve everything. I mean, there's no such a thing as perfect process. So as long as we're able to find a room for improvement on a daily basis, we're in the right direction. And that's how my day goes.
I like it. And you mentioned throughout the day working on certain projects, increasing the sales where it makes sense, making sure your partnerships are good, everyone's taken care of. But amongst that story, you mentioned challenging each other. So I kind of want to talk about a project that you might have done where it challenged your whole team. Maybe a project that was just like, I don't know if we can do this, but you ended up succeeding. You also mentioned, making the impossible possible earlier in the show as well. Can you think of, off the top of your head, a project that just really darn near stumped you, but you ended up figuring it out?
Yeah, I actually have a few of them, and the one that I think right on the top of my head is we were doing that steel plate, which was made out of 1018 steel. It was a big plate. It was about 20 by 18 inches, about 2 inches thick plate, and it had 2 huge bores in the middle. So why was this plate so complicated is we machined it from a solid piece, so we had about 1/4 inch on each side extra. And you can imagine that cold roll steel, once you machine it, it's all over the place. So,
yes, it is.
when we started the project, I was like, yeah, piece of cake. I mean, mild steel, we will run through it. And then, the piece had such a tight tolerance. It had 5/10 flatness end-to-end on 20 by 18 inches. I was like, no, it was a 1 thou flatness, sorry. We were able to achieve half a thou.
Wow.
And, technically impossible, right? You can't even achieve that with aluminum unless you send it to grinding or lapping or something like that, but not on the machine. So, we start working on it, and after I machined the first piece, we released it out of the fixture, and the piece bended almost a 1/4 inch.
Ooh, gosh.
And not just that, but it was all over the place too, every single direction. So we completely changed our approach. We end up flipping the piece about 20 times. We were able to straighten it up. We achieved just over half a thou flatness. And then the 2 huge bores in the middle, which were about, I think, 4 inches bores in the middle, they had 1 thou true position on a side from the datums, which were, bended after machining. So it doesn't matter how much times you straighten it up, your datum is wrapped.
Sure.
So anyway, we changed the approach. It was a lot of thinking between me and my lead machinist, and he was like, "What if we do that? And what if we, machine the datums at the end?" And we did, and it turned out to be a huge success. But during the whole time of machining this part, I was like, well, that's mathematically and physically impossible to be achieved. And whoever designed this drawing didn't think about it this way. Obviously, there is a secondary service that needs to be done. But what about the true position, right? You have true position over 20 inches of steel, which is wrapped over the place. And, true position of 1,000, it's what, 3/10 in each direction, maybe, something like that. Incredible. Anyway, we achieved it. We made tons of these plates.
You ended up making a bunch of them.
Oh, we end up. It's now a every month job for us, and it's
not the same headaches though, is it?
Not the same headache, but it's so cool to make them now, knowing how much time and I was thinking about this thing for a few days, and I was sleeping with it. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, okay, well, what if I try this? What if I try this? And then at some point, one of my machinists was like, why don't we just send it for grinding? I'm like, no. Like, someone made this plate before. Someone made this plate before because this is a production unit. I don't know who made it before, but it's achievable. If it's not specified on the drawing, I mean, this is a product that's been going on for 20 years now. It should be doable, right? Obviously, we completely changed the tools. We used a lot of coolant through spindle to reduce heat.
You figured it out.
And yeah, we use different approaches, but it was a huge success.
You're one of those guys that takes things like that to bed as well and wakes up in the middle of the night going, I think I have an answer.
Yes. I mean, it's...
Me too, buddy. Me too.
It's part of my life, right?
Yeah. All right, Diko, you ready to play a couple of games?
Let's do it.
Couple of games we have for everyone watching. Today, we're going to do the Would You Rather game. What that means is, and I'm going to give an example. We won't use this one, Diko. It'll just be an example. If I were a tool used in manufacturing, what tool would I be and why? So that's the example. So I have several choices on here that I can ask. And then our second game today is going to be the sound effect game again. It's one of our favorite games. I know our sound engineer likes it as well. He always likes to try and trick us. In fact, in our most recent one, I got one real wrong. It sounded like a lunchroom. A lunchroom. It was not. But I'm okay to get some things wrong, so we'll see what he has queued up for us today. So we're going to start with the Would You Rather game. So, Diko, if you were a robot on the assembly line, how would you contribute to the production?
Oh, boy.
That's a tough one, right? You're welcome to say pass. I got like 17, 20 of these things.
That's okay. How would I contribute to production?
If you were a robot on an assembly line, like what part of that contribution on that assembly line would you be?
Well, everything that's repeatable. So everything that's a repeatable task, I would pick that. Just because,
good answer.
We as a people tend to, human error is a big part of the whole equation, right? And human error, when you have repetitive tasks, we as a humans tend to stop thinking about it and then think about the second shift and the third shift, right? So you're gonna see deviation from human to human. But with robots, you don't see deviation, right?
Good answer, sir. Good answer. That's right off the top of his head as well, my friends. These are not prepped ahead of time. We like to get the authentic answers. Great answer. All right. If you were a 3D printer in a manufacturing plant, what unique contributions could you make?
Well, print another 3D printer so I can quadruple my capacity.
That's what you would do? That's funny. All right, sound effect game. Christian, sound engineer, the brilliant man behind the magic that allows us to create these audio and video clips for everyone listening and watching right now. Christian, are you queued up? Are we ready to go? You got a thumb for me? All right, buddy. Let's go with number one. Diko, since this is your first time playing this game, this is my third time. This will be episode 4, by the way, just so you know, so you can pay attention to when this episode will come out. This will be episode 4. This will be my third time playing your first time. My first time I did quite well. The second time I did quite poorly. Okay. So we'll see what today brings. What we like to do is hear the sound. We'll probably hear it a couple of times. Mm-hmm. We'll think about it because we want the audience to think about it as well and allow them to take a guess before we just blurt out what it might be, right? Yeah. If you think you know right away, you're welcome to say it. I might look at you. If you look like you might not know, I'll take a really bad guess probably, and then we'll just kind of talk about it from there. But that's kind of how this game works.
Okay.
You ready? All right, Christian, we're ready, buddy. What does that sound like to you, Diko?
It sounds like a robot truck or conveyor.
It does sound like some sort of automated cell of some sort to me.
It reminds me of one of the projects that I used to do. We had a wafer handler on a piece of track that was serving multiple stations. So it sounds like the track that is moving.
It does sound like that. Yeah. How we doing, Christian? What do we got?
is a giant metal lathe.
Oh.
Okay, it could be that. A giant metal lathe. Yeah, that is a giant metal lathe.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them out there like that. WFL folks out there get kind of big. The DMG Mori folks get kind of big.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't get that one. Well, womp womp. All right, what do we got next, Christian?
Oh, that sounds like electric drill bit.
It's definitely a hand tool of some
yeah.
sort, drilling or... Yeah? All right, we got
Pneumatic,
a thumbs up.
pneumatic.
Pneumatic, yes, all right.
Pneumatic, yeah.
1 for 1, 1 for 1. We'll count that one. What do we got for our third one, Christian? Am I on an airplane again?
Sounds like it.
It sounds like I'm back on an airplane.
I think that sounds like, yeah, airplane.
Well, it's supposed to be machine shop stuff, though, so it can't really be an airplane. But it does sound like a wind tunnel of some sort, or if this was live, I'd totally use my... Can we use a phone a friend? Is that a thing? Remember that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Do you have any guesses? I don't think I know what it is.
No,
No?
no idea.
Christian?
It's a cooling fan.
Oh.
I would never thought about that.
No, me neither. And I certainly don't feel cooler for guessing my bad guesses either. Christian, I do have to say, well done on the sounds this time. They were a bit more easier to understand. We appreciate that, absolutely. Is Benjamin around? Are we ready to have our cheers for the end of the show? For everyone who's watching this for the first time, I love to honor my guests with a drink of their preference. Just something small, nothing that's going to get them in trouble in any way. But Benjamin, if you could bring it on. Today we're sipping a really nice Japanese whiskey. Something I actually picked up while I was in Singapore just recently. And I believe my friend Diko has a toast he'd like to offer.
Well, Tony, I want to make a toast for the manufacturing in general. I mean, it's a great industry to be. I want to encourage young people to study manufacturing, to develop in manufacturing, and to actually find out how interesting manufacturing is, because manufacturing is what will help us advance as humanity. And also, I want to make another toast for the Gunn Show VIP edition, and keep doing what you're doing, man. You're bringing awareness to the people around the world for manufacturing. So great work.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
man. We're trying. How do we say cheers in Bulgarian?
Na zdrave.
Na zdrave.
Yes.
Excellent. Cheers and na zdrave. Okay, for everyone watching and listening right now, we certainly appreciate your time. To our sponsors again, thank you so much. AMT, IMTS, we appreciate you. Diko, I have a gift for you. Benjamin's waiting in the background. I can see him. But I have a gift for you as well, just to close out this show. It's another thing just to say thank you so much for your time. We all know how precious time could be. It's the one commodity we can never have back. So when you share any of it with me, for any reason whatsoever, I honor you and I appreciate you. Diko, thank you so much for your time and your stories.
Absolutely.